Hall of Famer Steve Young back on the program. I was wondering, you grew up on the East Coast in Connecticut, so you're familiar with snow, but playing days, didn't you have a game when you were with Tampa Bay? You played Green Bay in a snowstorm? Does that sound right?
Man, come on. That's the lowest attendance in the history at Lambeau Field because no one could get to the field. There was a snowplow, two snowplows in front of the bus from the hotel. And the only people that came to the game literally were people who snowshoed in or snowmobiled. Outside of Lambeau Field was like 300 snowmobiles, is how the game went. And we were wearing white, and we didn't wear, and of course, we forgot all the winter gear. So everyone was wearing their suits underneath their clothes, like anything they could get a hold of, they were wearing. And we were wearing white. I go out there and play, and I couldn't see anything. This is my second game as an NFL pro. I'm like, bro, I can't. I don't know where anybody is. And I thought for a little while that I wouldn't complete a pass. Dan, it was it was in the second quarter. I'm like, I don't want to be the first player in the history of the NFL that didn't complete a pass. Holy! So I had James Wilder, my running back. I was like, James, look, I got to complete a pass, bro. So I'm going to drop back. Just come in front of me, and I'm going to shovel it to you. And you can look at the stats. I think the first half I was 2 for 14 for minus 3 yards.
You had 8 completions, I think, and 6 were to James Wilder in that game.
Because I could see James. He was close to me. He would scream at me. Like I could hear him. So I knew that he was close.
Well, is it an advantage for the offense in weather like that?
I think it is because anytime it's slippery or then you know where you're going and the defense doesn't, it makes, obviously the mistakes are bigger because the footing. And yes, I thought as long as you have a quarterback that can mud it, I think it's a huge advantage.
Give me the game that kind of puzzled you this weekend.
Well, obviously the Commanders, what I loved about what they did was they went into a tough place, number 1 seed, and they just ripped it, right? And they didn't wait around. They didn't wonder. They didn't kind of feel it out. Playoff football is about taking it from bloody hands. And so if you're going to do it, especially in that situation, you've got to run it out. And what, I mean, that's all they did is they just ran it right out to the fourth quarter. And the Lions just, that's what playoff football is amazing. People don't realize how, like baseball, basketball, it takes a week and a half to figure out who's going to win a series. In football, you've literally in a half, you can lose it all. In many ways, the Ravens in the first half, a couple of turnovers, am I really going to win a playoff game on the road with 2 turnovers in the first half? Even at halftime, you got to wonder to yourself, have I already blown it? And it's a tough spot.
But I brought this up with Ryan Clark of ESPN last hour, and I said to Ryan, is Josh Allen consciously trying not to do too many things, like put on the cape? As a quarterback, can you consciously think about, don't try to do too much like you've done before?
Dan, that is the art of quarterbacking. Exactly. If you can't do that, you won't be great. And I think that's what Patrick Mahomes has moved into. That's what Josh has moved into, a place where they can be Superman. And they can be Superman almost every play. And you remember early in Patrick's career, and Josh, even as of last year, they put on the Superman cape so much that you actually can't, it doesn't work. It blows up on you. And so you either figure out how to become a very sophisticated passer in the pocket, get everything you can out of the play, and then be patient and recognize where the spots are where you can be Superman and where you can't be, because you can't be every play. And I give both of them tremendous credit and maturity and how to figure out, because in the game, you have to have legs in this game. You have to be able to threaten the line of scrimmage. You're going to touch the ball 80 plus times a game. Every time you touch the ball as a quarterback, you have to be able to threaten the line of scrimmage. Doesn't mean you do it, but the threat has to be there because you saw it all weekend. How many yards are there? Free yards for quarterbacks, touchdowns, first downs. And if you don't have that ability, you are behind the game. Jared Goff behind the game. He has to throw his way down there all the time. And you saw when you have to throw your way down there all the time, it wears out. Where the other guys, they can get on their other side of the field, threaten the line of scrimmage, put defenses on their back. It's a huge difference. So yes, Josh Allen, understanding that the Superman cape comes and goes is the maturity of Josh Allen.
Where does composure come from?
Well, in some ways it's like a gift from heaven, right? Like you have a way of dealing with, the adrenaline comes into your body, and most human beings, it shrinks your brain, you get tight, you sweat, and sometimes things get tight and people respond opposite. Like your heartbeat goes slower, you kind of calm down, and those are the guys that, those are the greats. And composure is something that you have that kind of gift from heaven, and then you also develop it. You develop it through experience. Now, Patrick Mahomes showed up in the NFL. First game I covered on Monday night, I'm standing on the sidelines, and the dude is sprinting right towards me, full speed. Guys chasing him down for the Denver Broncos, and like in the NFL, you don't, I mean, it's crazy speed that the game's played at, and he throws it lefty, and you could see as he's coming, he's not the adrenaline's running, but he's not like he's just kind of checking out like he's in his backyard and kind of figuring out, okay, what can I do here? What can I do? You know what? Maybe I'll try this. And that's how that composure was God given, and he showed up with it. And I also think for him particularly, when you have a professional athlete dad, you grow up with a certain mentality that most of us have to go to the NFL and have to work through the composure thing. I think he kind of showed up that way. I think Peyton Manning, the same kind of spirit.
But explain Jaden Daniels.
So I'm telling you, I just did. Some people respond in a presence under pressure opposite of what most humans do. It's irrational to the human experience, but some guys and that's why they're great, and great quarterbacks generally have this ability as things high. Look, that's the filter for quarterbacks. How many quarterbacks you see when it gets tight and they're, oh my gosh, and then their game gets smaller. They don't do as much. Their athleticism starts to disappear. Their mind starts to speed up, and they can't process the way they did. And some people are just built different, and he's built that different. You can see it. And in today's game, he is the ultimate prototype. He is threatening the line of scrimmage every play, and as he learns, he'll figure out, some of the things we just talked about, Superman cape, but he threatens it every play, and with a innovative play caller. And I've talked about this, but I'd like to say half the league has an innovative play caller who understands the game has changed, that there's more space. How do you deploy people out in the space? It's not like 2015. And how many teams in this league, Dan, I've scratched my eyeballs out, who are still running plays from 2015 and thinking, oh, this is the way we used to do it. We were really good. We're like, bro, those days are over. You give me an innovative play caller. Cliff Kingsbury is amazing innovation. You saw some of the cool plays over the weekend. People are coming up with crazy stuff that's amazing. And you can deploy it in this way because the game has changed. The field is bigger. And then Jaden can just fill it all up, and it's fun to watch. And look, if I'm the Commanders and I'm going to Philadelphia on a championship weekend, I'm going to run it out just like I did against the Lions. Like, just run them out of the building. They cannot stay up with them. They cannot score 40. They can't score 35. They can't score 30. So just run it out and let them chase you. That's the way I would do it.
Steve Young, Hall of Famer, joining us. We get caught up as members of the media, which you were a member of the media, but also Hall of Famer. We look at postseason success at the quarterbacking position. Whether it's fair or not, we look at that. And here's Lamar Jackson, probably on the verge of a third MVP, and then he bows out again. How important is postseason success, maybe for the legacy of Lamar Jackson?
In the end, we have to live it out, Dan. It's the fact. It's a perception is 9/10 of the law. It used to be possession in law school, but perception is 9/10 of the law. In other words, if that's the way that everyone wants to respond to Super Bowls, then you better get on board. And I think Lamar is on board with that. You can see it. You can see the pain. I love that guy. I think he's an amazing football player. And as he gets to become a more sophisticated passer, and the Ravens lean in, I appreciate the hybrid. They're leaving the Harbaugh, run the ball, play great defense. Like, that's 2015. Like, you have got to enter into this new space that I think the Ravens have done in new play caller, and I think he's making the transition, and he is the most dangerous player in the field almost every time, except for when he plunges into Patrick or runs into Josh. And so the pain is real. The reality is real. You're not gonna have the perception of who you are as an athlete without it. And that's just the way it is. And you can see it in him. He goes through the regular season and they run through the rank and file of the NFL Ravens over and over and over again. And you can see this year, he was like, yeah, whatever. I'll see you in January. I'll see you in January. I'll see you in January. You want to be MVP? I'll see you in January. I don't care. I don't care. And so that's why yesterday was particularly painful. And like he said after the game, what a stud when, Mark had dropped the ball and everyone would say, well, that's the game. Then he's like, no, bro, I had 2 turnovers. I can't turn the ball over. And that's the thing about the playoff football. They turned over the ball 3 times, four intercept. Like they had been amazing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, mistakes, 3 turnovers. And like I said, you got to take it from bloody hands in the playoffs, and especially in the Super Bowl. And the Bills did it.
You're talking about perception. The perception is that the officials play favorites, certainly with Patrick Mahomes. Consciously, subconsciously?
No, I honestly, I think Pat is not as he's Superman when he wants to, and he's figured that out. He's an artist. And look, you can say he shouldn't use the art of the presence of mind that he has on the field to lure people into trouble. He's like the kid down the streets, like, hey, let's go down here and, this will be fun. Try it, like, no, bro. And he lures officials into the same way, I think, in so many ways. He's just, you might say, I hate Patrick Mahomes because he gets preferential treatment. Look, trust me on this now. The officials get graded. All they're thinking is, I want to get it right. I want to get it right because I'm going to get graded in the NFL and I want to run the Super Bowl and I want to have a playoff game. Like that's all that's going through their minds. They are not thinking, oh, wow, I got to help the Chiefs out. Now, everyone on the outside is like, why are they helping out the Chiefs? Patrick he's like the kid that lures you. Like he even lures in the officials because he's like that. He has a way of giving a sense that was a foul.
Did you get preferential treatment? Did you in Montana get preferential treatment?
It's a different time, Dan. You might say preferential treatment means that they didn't really get to elbow you in the groin on the way up. Rather, they got you in the chest. You know what I mean? Like that's a preferential treatment is that they didn't actually draw blood. Like, hey, no blood this time, so that's good.
Other quarterbacks got hit in the groin, Steve.
Look, I think you had officials that you're friends. You know what I mean? Like you got to Jerry Markbright and just guys that you ran into all the time in all the big games. And you had conversations all the time. Like I remember Jerry was great because you throw a ball, it was a tough ball, led the receiver open, in traffic, and you'd get up from getting pounded and he goes, hey, that was a good ball. Nice throw. Like he was a fan.
Did you ever get an official a gift?
No, of course not.
Like you paused there for a moment, like a jersey, a football. Did you ever get
never.
Jim Tunney a Christmas gift?
Jim Tunney was my favorite, but no, I have never, other than Jim, he became a friend later.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in the area. And you know the story when one of the officials, I did get preferential treatment briefly because his daughter, he says, he was in law school, and when I was going to law school too, and he's like, you guys should go on a date, and I'm like, oh, all right, fine, and then I got foul. I mean, I got hit, and he threw the flag, and he says she likes Mexican, and let's make this happen.
So wait a minute. If it came out you were dating,
and don't dive into this one.
If you were dating, I'm not bringing up Marie Osmond. How long did you date Marie Osmond?
Well, we had a couple dates, bro. That's a couple dates.
You're scrambling now. You're not getting preferential treatment.
That's all right, but that's what I do. That's what the games come to me, Dan. It's 2025. It's my game, so just don't
Wait
even
a minute.
try it.
Imagine if it came out that Josh Allen was dating an official's daughter. You were dating, you took an official.
Well, then you could really complain. Instead of just.
We didn't know about it. We didn't know that you went out with somebody to get preferential treatment. You know what? Super Bowls are tainted now.
I didn't ever go out. Stop. It didn't happen. Relax. It was just a fun moment that I was trying to like lighten the moment with you. It's a tough show. I'm just trying to, bring some, ballast to this thing, man.
You know
Come
what?
on.
Now you know how the Chargers felt in the Super Bowl when you were lighting them up and you never ever stopped throwing the football, Steve. Right?
Hey, it was Mike Shanahan told me pregame 8 touchdowns. We're throwing 8 touchdowns.
Did he really?
He did. No, he looked at me right in the eye.
Well, you could have.
Steve, you know how serious he is. He's like he's Mike. Let's go over it again, Shanahan. So he would like. We were pregame and we were going over it again, right? And the Super Bowl, you know how long the Super Bowl is? It goes forever, right? And so finally, he's like, "Let's go over it again. Let's go over it again." Finally, I'm like, Mike, I can't go over it again, man. I know you love to go over it again. I do too, but we can't go over it again. He goes, "Okay, eight touchdowns."
You know, you were the leading rusher in that game too.
Those are the days, Dan.
Yeah, I know.
What it could have been.
You
remember when Shanahan came in at halftime? You know what he did? He looked me dead in the eye. And he went like this.
4.
And so that's halftime. So when they took me out with 6, he was pissed. But that's Mike. That's why Kyle's great and a great innovator, an amazing play caller, because he's like his dad. Like like father, like son. That apple did not fall from the tree, because Mike was all about pounding people into absolute submission, and I loved it. I was amazing.
And what did we learn today? Did we learn that Steve Young, career tainted a little bit, dated an official's daughter just to get preferential treatment? Okay. I mean, I respect it. I mean, that you're a winner is what you are, Steve. Whatever it takes.
I'm a Dodger, as you know. And that's what runs deep in the blood.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. That baseball career, they're still talking about it.
What I could have been, Dan.
You were the Shohei Ohtani of Greenwich, Connecticut.
What I could have been.
Yep.
Mean streets of Greenwich. You know how hard it is to beat your way out of the mean streets of Greenwich.
You did it. You did it.
It is not easy, bro.
Yeah. How about a round of applause for Steve Young? Everything he overcame.
Hard times.
You did it.
You did it.
All right. Things are tough out here, man.
No. Somehow you did it. We're very proud of you.
We trudge along.
So when you went to BYU, your BMW was used. Like they didn't give you a new one.
Bro, 65 Oldsmobile Dynamic 88, my dad drove out. He's like, "Hey, if you need a car, we got the olds here that can, and then I'm like, I'm in Utah. That's 30,000 miles away. He goes, "I'll drive it out. It'll be fine." And Grit Young freaking drives it out, drives it across the country. I'm like, "Dad, that thing is, you're not going to get off the Queens Expressway. You're not going to, let alone, getting over the Throg's Neck. Like, it's not happening."
The Throg's Neck.
Wrong direction, Dan.
Yeah.
Relax. I understand.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
You're on a roll. You're on a roll.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
All right. All right.
We're going to go the long way.
I hope you have a great day.
You're the best, Dan.
Thank you, Steve. That's Steve Young. Preferential treatment. Let's go out with the official's daughter. She likes Mexican food. All right, we'll take a break. We'll give you our best and worst of the weekend after this.